Battle Through the Heavens, Chapter 128. Xiao trapped between mercenaries and the abyss. Having tempered his body and resolve through grueling refinement, Xiao continues his journey into the treacherous depths of the magical beast mountain range. However, the focus of his cultivation is quickly shattered when the silence of the forest erupts into a frantic pursuit. Now, with greed-driven enemies closing in from all sides, the young warrior must navigate a deadly hunt where survival is the only objective.
The stillness of the magical beast mountain range shattered under a wave of shouting. A massive pursuit force thundered through the trees, startling the lone mercenaries who were out hunting. These men turned, saw the growing mob, and let curiosity pull them into the chase. They wanted to see the man who could cause such a massive stir.
Catch Xiao. He has a mystery class technique on him.
Mu Xiang! She roared the words while eyeing a nearby group of mercenaries. An ugly smirk twisted his face. Behind him, the members of the Wolf-Head Mercenary Company took up the cry. The news of a mystery class technique drifted through the mountains like a plague.
Mystery class?
Greed flared in every eye that heard it. The crowd went silent for a heartbeat, and then the first man bolted toward the figure flickering through the brush. With a leader to follow, the rest of the mercenaries threw away their hesitation and joined the hunt with a roar.
Xiao heard the shouting and glanced back. His face tightened as he saw the mob swelling in size.
That bastard is poison!
He muttered through gritted teeth. He pushed his legs harder, darting through the thickest parts of the forest. He looked for any sign of a beast den, hoping to lead his pursuers into a trap.
Let us see if you have more men than this forest has monsters,
he thought with a cold smile. He put his head down and lunged forward.
Little brat, where do you think you are going?
Mu Shi's voice boomed from the distance, fueled by Dou Qi. It echoed like a lion's roar through the trees. Xiao ignored the threat and focused on the path ahead. Mu Shi squinted, seeing the gap between them slowly widen. The boy's speed was more than he expected. He exhaled a slow breath and let pale green Dou Qi wrap around his body.
Yellow tier technique, wind wall step.
The air around Mu Shi's legs swirled into small cyclones. He slammed his foot down, and his speed nearly doubled. Xiao heard the whistling of the wind behind him and looked back. Mu Shi was closing in. He flicked his finger, popped a Qi recovery pill into his mouth, and felt his exhausted Dou Qi begin to hum again.
You die today!
Mu Shi yelled. Killing intent radiated from his face as he neared.
Die your mother's head!
Xiao shouted back. He swung his right hand behind him, and a violent, invisible burst of pressure erupted from his palm. Mu Shi felt the air compress. He grunted and threw a punch forward. A gale exploded from his fist, crashing into the invisible force. The impact tore up the grass and snapped the thin branches nearby.
He really does have some power.
Mu Shi, his eyes narrowing, he kicked off the ground and cleared 10 yards in a single bound.
Die, boy!
The distance closed. Shi bared his teeth at the fleeing youth.
Die your mother!
Xiao spat back. Mu Shi's face turned a bruised shade of purple from the insult. Xiao glanced at the grim leader and the massive mob following him. He sighed and reached behind his back. His hands gripped the heavy black ruler. He tore it from its place and stowed it inside his storage ring.
Keep chasing if you want.
He shouted over his shoulder.
I am finished playing with you.
His toes dug into the dirt and he vanished. Without the weight of the ruler, he moved like a green blur, darting into the dark heart of the forest like a mountain panther. Mu Shi's expression shifted to pure shock. He was a 2-star Dou Shi with a wind affinity, and he had used a movement technique. How could he not catch a mere Dou Zhe?
He must have found something incredible in that cave.
Mu Shi decided. The thought made his resolve harden. He surged into the dark woods alone, leaving the others behind. As soon as he entered the shadows, a chaotic force whistled toward his chest. Mu Shi drew his heavy blade and slashed out with a burst of Dou Qi. The blade bit into flesh with a sickening wet sound. A shrill shriek followed. It was a rank 1 blood-sucking rat. Mugi pulled his blade free, but before he could move, a dozen more rats lunged from the shadows. They couldn't hurt him, but they were a nuisance that bled away his momentum. By the time he kicked the last one aside, the rest of the mercenaries caught up and finished off the swarm.
Keep moving.
Mu, she commanded. The hopeless chase began again. The noise tore the piece of the mountain to shreds. Xiao was the catalyst, shamelessly aggravating every beast he passed. The mercenaries behind him didn't lay a finger on him, but they suffered heavy losses from the constant beast attacks. By midday, the crowd began to thin. The casual hunters gave up, leaving only the Wolfhead Company and a few men driven mad by the promise of the technique. Xiao legs felt like lead. He looked up at the lonely moon and let out a dry laugh. The man behind him was more persistent than he had imagined.
Does he not fear the high-tier beasts in the inner circle?
Xiao wondered. He looked back at Mu Shi's cold face and shook his head. Madman. Mu Shi was also beginning to worry. If they went any deeper, they would be in the heart of the range. A single person could hide there, but a large group would be a beacon for predators. Just as he considered turning back, he saw Xiao stop. Mu Shi's face lit up with triumph. He rushed forward and realized why the boy had stopped. A bottomless abyss cut through the earth, separating them from the inner peaks by a gap of only 10 yards.
The road ends here, Xiao. The hunt is over.
Mu Shi grinned and signaled his men. The mercenaries fanned out, forming a semicircle that pinned Xiao against the cliff edge. Xiao looked at the drop and shook his head. There were only 2 ways into the inner mountains, and this wasn't one of them. He had run straight into a dead end.
Give us what you found in the cave.
Mu, she said, stepping forward.
You really want me to hand it over?
Xiao looked at the independent mercenaries standing near the edges of the group and smiled. The independent hunters shifted uncomfortably. They hadn't come this far just to watch the Wolfhead Company take everything. Mu Shi saw the trap in Xiao words immediately. He scanned the crowd.
Listen, Xiao killed over a dozen of my men. He killed He Meng. This is a blood debt that will be paid in red. Besides, the treasure he stole belonged to my son, Mu Li. We are only taking back what is ours. Do not interfere, and I will reward you with 1,000 gold when this is over.
The threat was clear. Mu Shi wanted it all. He signaled his men, and the Wolfhead mercenaries drew their weapons, their eyes cold and fixed on the outsiders. The lone hunters grumbled, but slowly backed away, unwilling to fight the entire company. With the outsiders gone, Mu Shi turned his icy gaze back to Xiao. He gripped his heavy blade and walked forward.
Give it to me, and I will give you a quick death.
Xiao shrugged and sighed. His palm flickered, and the massive heavy black ruler appeared in his grip. He rested the dark metal against his shoulder and looked up, a calm smile on his face.
If you have the spine for it, come and take it.